Take a very close look at this photo. This is a photo of a Vietnamese monk who chose to burn himself alive as an act of protest against the war. I am recording a fucking YouTube video on mental health and I'm still getting very nervous. This person chose to burn himself alive, which is like the most painful pain a human can experience, and not just one or two parts of his body. His whole body was burning, his organs were burning. He was very well aware that he was going to die within a few minutes, and it was reported that there was no reaction on his face. He was not moving a single muscle. He was okay with dying in one of the most painful ways. If we can have this level of emotional control, think about how life-changing that can be. There are a lot of scientifically proven benefits of meditation which I will go through right now. The key component of meditation is neuroplasticity, which is the ability for your brain to change. So throughout the day, a lot of things happen to you. You scroll on Instagram, you play some sports, you go out, you talk to a lot of people, and each and every one of these things have some sort of influence on your brain. When you go to sleep at night, your brain changes based on everything that happened to you in the day. So let's say, for example, you spend 3 hours scrolling on Instagram. All the music you listen to, the voices of people, the faces of people, what these people are doing, that is going to be encoded in your subconscious brain. Some parts of the brain will get smaller, some parts will get bigger, and the overall connection between different neurons will change. Your brain tries to learn what you did. So if you watch some sort of bad, degenerate content, your brain will try to encode that information, which is also the reason why you dream about those things. Now, scrolling on Instagram can influence your brain to grow in some negative ways, but meditation is the opposite of this. When you meditate for long periods of time, your prefrontal cortex, which is like the most modern part of human brain, has increased gray matter density and cortical thickness. So prefrontal cortex is responsible for things like your personality, your social skills, your communication skills, all the logical part, all the thinking part, decision making, problem solving, reasoning, all this stuff. Meditation can enhance your prefrontal cortex, giving you all of these benefits. Your amygdala, responsible for stress, for fear, all these negative emotions, will get smaller in size and have less activity, which means that your anxiety, your stress, your fear will get reduced. Your hippocampus, responsible for learning and creating new memories, will have more gray matter density, which means that your learning and memories are going to be much better. Your insula is going to have more gyrification, or folding in simple words. So insula is responsible for emotional processing, which is the ability to handle your emotions, and interoception, which is the ability for you to understand your own body, what is going inside your body. So people who have high interoception, they can tell how fast their heart is beating, if there is something wrong inside their body, if they are going to get sick, if their food is digesting right now, all this stuff. Your cingulate cortex has more activity and connectivity. The connection between different neurons inside the cortex is altered. Cingulate cortex is responsible for self-awareness, attention, focus, emotional processing, and integration of sensory information. So all the information from your eyes, from your tongue, from your smell, it is processed here. Keeping the individual parts aside, the connection between different parts is also improved. There is a collection of different parts of the brain called as the salience network, which is responsible for filtering relevant information from irrelevant, unnecessary information. So for example, in this video, there is my face, there are my clothes, there is this microphone, there is this stand, there is this bed behind me, there is this wall behind me, but you are only focusing on my face or my voice, and all this extra information, my bed, my clothes, it is filtered out. Salience network does this thing. There is Central Executive Network, or CEN for short, which is like the CEO, the control center of your brain. It is responsible for coordinating and managing different parts of your brain. Then there is your default mode network. This collection of parts is activated when you're not doing anything. So let's say you're sitting and just staring at a wall. This part of your brain is going to be activated. You will start thinking about yourself, about life, about how you look, all this stuff. And this is overall a bad thing because this leads to overthinking and a lot of other problems. Your default mode network is brought under control, which means that your mind wandering is much less and you are more present in the current moment. And lastly, the oscillations of different kinds of waves in your brain is also changed. Your alpha and theta brainwave frequencies increase, which is responsible for being more focused and relaxed alertness. You are going to be more relaxed, but you're also going to be more alert. Now, all of these benefits are some scientific benefits which you can measure by putting your brain inside a machine. There are a lot of other practical benefits which I will go through right now. The first one is enhanced communication skills. So the presence of other people can influence the way you behave, the way you speak, the way you act. Right now in front of this camera, I am doing kind of okay. I'm nervous but not that nervous. But if you put the CEO of some huge company right next to me and he's just looking at me, not saying something, not judging me, just looking at me, I am going to get more nervous by that presence. And this doesn't necessarily have to be the CEO of some huge company. Even when talking to your close friends, there is always going to be this subtle nervousness that you have all the time. It is very subtle, it is not very obvious, but it is always there. Human brain is designed to care about what other people think of you. You don't want to say something stupid. You want to behave in a certain way, which makes you kind of nervous. It changes the way you behave, but it is not that obvious. Talking to your close friends is easy. Talking to a group of strangers, it is kind of difficult. Giving a speech in front of thousands of strangers which you don't even know, that is like the most difficult thing that you can do. You can have all the knowledge of what you're supposed to say. You can think that I'm supposed to give this example, I'm supposed to speak this thing in this way. But when it comes to actual speaking, the way you imagine you're speaking and the way you're actually speaking, it is completely different. I know this because I'm a YouTuber. A lot of times I try to copy other YouTubers, the way they speak, the way they show their emotions. And I think that I'm speaking like them. But when I look at my own recordings, I am not speaking like them. When you consistently meditate for long periods of time, all the variables like the pitch of your voice, how fast you speak, you can change all of that. You have more control over the way you speak, over the way you behave. The next benefit is the perception of time. Time seems to move slower for you. In this age of hustle culture, people always have this false sense of urgency all the time. They eat very fast, they talk very fast, they do multiple things simultaneously to save a lot of time, and they just cannot relax. After meditating consistently for long periods of time, this false sense of urgency that you have all the time, it starts fading away. You get more calm and relaxed. The next practical benefit is clear thinking. So like I said, you always have this low-grade nervousness, this anxiety all the time, which is very subtle. You are so used to it that you're not even aware of it. But this low-grade anxiety, this nervousness, it prevents you from thinking clearly. But when you're more relaxed, you have more control over the way you think, which leads to clear thinking. The next and the very obvious thing is willpower and discipline. The part of the brain responsible for willpower and discipline, I think it is called AMCC, I'm not completely sure, but the size of that thing increases. The next thing is the happiness and the mental health boost. So meditation makes you more present in the current moment, which means that you don't pay attention to all the negative things. All this stress from work, all this stress from people, you stop thinking about these things, which increases your overall happiness and your mental health levels. The next benefit is your immunity and your longevity. So your mental health and your physical health are very closely connected. So a good mental health also equals a good physical health. The next thing is your focus, your attention, your concentration, and your productivity. All these things improve for obvious reasons. The next thing is being able to perform better under stress. When you're giving a speech in front of thousands of people, when you're trying to hold your breath under the water, or even when you take some physically challenging tasks like having an ice bath or even being burned alive, meditation can support all of these things. And the best part is some of these benefits also have their own benefits. Things like your mental health, your communication skills, they also improve all the other areas of your life. Your relationships, the amount of money you make through your communication skills, all of these things also improve. So all of these benefits stack on top of each other, creating this compound effect. One thing improves other thing, and your overall life keeps on improving. There are a lot of other scientific and practical benefits of meditation, which I will not go through right now because the video is going to get too long if I do that. In some religious practices, meditation is taken to extreme. You stop eating food, you stop drinking water, you cut all the contact with all of your friends, your family, you talk to no one, and you do this for a very long period of time. Sometimes 3 days, sometimes up to 9 years. In some cases, people go completely insane, they get depressed, which does not make sense because meditation is supposed to improve your mental health. But if you take meditation to extreme, it backfires. This happens because meditation can improve your mental health to a certain extent, but if you stop doing all the other things like eating food, drinking water, talking to all the other people, your mental health is going to be fucked up. Also, when I say that you stop eating food, you stop drinking water, I don't mean that you stop these things completely forever. You still do these things, but only the minimum necessary amount to survive, to keep you alive. In some of the most extremes of extreme religious practices, even that doesn't happen. You stop eating completely, you stop drinking water completely, unless you're dead. There is one such religious practice where if a person thinks that he has fulfilled the purpose of his life, he starts preparing for the next life by meditating forever. He completely stops eating food, he completely stops drinking water, and lives alone until he or she dies. Unfortunately, or I should say fortunately, there are not a lot of scientific studies on this because the number of people who do these things, it is very, very less. And these extreme religious practices is probably the only situation where meditation can be dangerous. There are 3 forms of meditation that you can do to get all the benefits of meditation with 0 negatives. The first one is the obvious mindfulness meditation. You sit at some place, you close your eyes, and you try to focus on your breath or something very specific. If thoughts come, which they will, you ignore them. It is like you are this wise old man and your thoughts are this irritating little kid around you. Your thoughts keep coming, they keep irritating you, but you choose to ignore them. This is probably the most effective but the most boring form of meditation. The next form is sleep meditation. When you go to bed, your brain will start overthinking. All the negative thoughts will come. You feel like your day was wasted, you were not productive enough, something bad happened to you in the day. But when you replace these overthinking thoughts with meditation, you not only remove something that is bad for you, you also add something that is very good for you, which is like a win-win situation. Sleep meditation also has a lot of other scientific benefits, which is also a nice thing. And the most fun form of meditation is called savoring. Check out this video to learn how to do that. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.